Hey nerds! Welcome back to The Letter. In last episode, we learned that Kylie's also the goddaughter of the Wrights, which I acted surprised, but then after I was done recording, I realized I had already talked about this like a long time ago and I had completely forgotten about it. But either way, let's continue on with Rebecca to see what happens next. October 27th. What day would that be? Photos. This is skipping a lot of days, which means we're gonna be coming up pretty soon on some, hopefully the next episode after this, we're gonna get into a little bit more of some things. Sorry, I'm just trying to get all the notifications out of here. Okay. Cool brains. Alright. The brief lull of the past 2 days have offered a great start. Is offered as nice as while it lasted. Or as nice as it can get with worries of Isabella or whereabouts creeping up to me every now and then. She hasn't shown up after the last talk we had in the hallway. And the dinner I've brought had since been given to a different neighbor before it's spoiled. Wow, very good start. By all means, this shouldn't be anything to lose sleep over. She's gone on work trips before, usually for a day or two. This might simply be one of those. Although, it's often with a message saying exactly where. But it's the door note that has ended our last chat with the Nas.
Like an ugly premonition.
And as I expected, just as things start to settle down and the steady rhythm finally warms its way back into my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. With little ceremony, though still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Luxport is a small city, relatively speaking. Compared to, say, London, Glasgow, it's always nothing but a tiny mass of land, boasting a merely population of 68,000. But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing in the busy street. And if you pay close attention, faces taking the crosswalk or riding the subway will soon grow familiar. How unfortunate that out of a number, it has to be T.O. fucking Luke I encounter more than once.
Oh, you know, a few problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow. Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course. I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble, but darling wife insisted. Who am I to say no?
Ah, are you kidding me?
His smug head is the first thing I see upon turning into the hall, in spite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered at the corridor of the primary carrier day. It's not that he stands out. He's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. However, it's his countenance that draws people's eyes to him. The manner he carries himself with confidence in the world, his mere presence dwarfing everything around him. Him willing to make a bet he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones comforting from the women.
What an ass.
A single glance at him and I know immediately that, one way or another, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. He also excludes that air. That sort of makes you want to run him over with the lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident. With him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's no in between. I'll gladly do the honor of former him myself, but alas, there are people around us. Now I'm stuck with having faced one of two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
At the time, helping out sounded a good idea. I've no class left today until after lunch. I could have opted to stay that at the teacher's lounge and work on my lesson plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head, his chatter. He's a good man, but servants, he can talk anyone's ears off. So the moment an opportunity rose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boost. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the event. Maybe just around the assist if the time will allow it. I just wasn't expecting for him to show up here. out of the frying pan and into the fire. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through a deputy impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead. But what's done is done. Going back is also out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy the load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for a trip back just because my pride can't take another second of the interaction with the guy. He's insufferable, alright, but I've had my fair share of dealing with teens of more or less the same temperament. All considerably younger than him, and they listened. If he wanted to be difficult like last time, so be it. But he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not standing down. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in deep breath, mustering the patience I have to step in the hallway. My grip on the box tightens when I pull it closer to me, an attempt to assume to low-key air as I assemble towards the room. The box is not big enough to hide my face, even with the stuff piled on top, but if all else fails, I can just hit him with it. Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even one listening out there, please grant me enough restraint. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That'll definitely make life easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door, and there are plenty of people between us for cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in. Hand in the stupid box or whosoever, forget every plan of staying longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. Easy as pie. But as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the door threshold, someone barrels towards me. She latches onto my waist before topping the sudden commotion with a gleeful squeal.
I knew it's you!
The force of it nearly throws me off balance, sending the items stacked atop the box and twirling dangerously to my side. With the child's added weight on my weight, pinning me on the spot and both of my hands occupied, watching is the only thing I can do. The short second in between slows as everything gradually slides the box small service. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story others time. Comical even. Until another set of hands reach out and the steadiness of the posters threatening to take a nosedive right for the floor. Careful now, Daisy. Don't want to make a mess here. Why aren't the voices going off sometimes? My entire body freezes. Upon hearing his voice alone, an irritational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. But before my limbs could catch up with my brain, it is currently screaming at me. He moves to take a burden off my arms. Irritation gives way to surprise. Then confusion. It is in that moment when instinct finally kicks in and I tuck the box closer to me before he can fully lift it off.
What are you doing?
What does it look like? You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you? Bloody, doesn't this school have people for this kind of work? Ugh, so much for being a center of academic excellence.
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand? Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help. Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy? Having a bad day, aren't we?
Oh, you have no idea.
I'd put it away if I were you. You might scare the children.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact. Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Keeping my voice level throughout is a miracle in itself. But regardless of how polite my request is, he doesn't budge. Did what I've just said merely flew over his head? Were my choices of words really that difficult to comprehend? Whoa. Surely it shouldn't be that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. I'd like to ask him that. Actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Tio's strong. You can leave this to him. My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone. Tio says it's
Confidential, Munchkin.
That's right. Tio's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
I'm still in the opinion that he's a piece of shit, but I must admit his goddaughter excitement is contagious as always. A smile makes its way on my lips. She has yet to budge from her place, though to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling on my stomach with how tightly she wound her arms around it.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Like helping you out.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but
You heard the kid.
no one's asking you.
You wound me, woman.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that. Shall we give it a try? Again?
He stammers for a bit, until he ultimately decides against saying anything and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. He's probably having flashbacks to the last time we met. His composure when he finally regains some of his bearings say it all. It's nothing short of hilarious, if I do say so myself.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy. Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat. How cute.
That too. I'm not scared of you, just because you landed a hit.
Uh-huh. Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear? I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent. If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburg Police after you, woman.
You don't say.
Just give me that bloody box.
He snatches it out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth, quickly disappears behind the classroom. Not that it matters who brings it now. My priority irritation has already melted into amusement. He's not so bad once you figure out his temperament works. It's almost similar to a child. Though I still have to ask.
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here? He's unusually nice today.
A far-fetched idea, I know. But it's the only reason I can think of why this arsehole is suddenly acting like a decent human. He's quite frankly far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. If I were him, I'd avoid the very last person who put a dent on my skull. He is so aptly put it. Why is he acting friendly 2 days now?
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you since you helped me so much. I think you're gonna be great friends.
I quickly stomp on the urge to groan loudly or gag at that. He's the last person I'd ever want to be chummy with in the whole city, but Kylie doesn't seem to need to know that.
Are you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning. Really brought me lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tio when he picked me up. He likes the black ones.
Oh, that's probably why he's weird. Jelly?
Oops. He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them while he's at it.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takanko this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
An unexpected pain hits me as her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths the whole trunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. Nights spent eating dinners alone, the number of days coming home to an empty house growing with each passing year. And sometimes several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still out there, familiar though lessened by years now. Besides me, Kylie takes a step back, having gotten tired of clinging to me. There's nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by the fact. Although it makes me wonder how much of it is real, and how much is going to be a mask of loneliness, if there's even one. What a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave. I've been a good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are. But they asked they asked your Tio to look after you?
Nope, they didn't.
No? Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she's sick and had to visit the doctor today. Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's a bit confusing because Tio said she also went shopping. That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick. It's still okay, though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home.
Wait a minute. I don't know what happened to her that day because we told Ash that day about the photos. We didn't tell Hannah, so I don't know what happened.
I'm gonna ask for a parfait today. Extra large. Don't tell Takako, okay?
Listening to her like this, it's easy to picture of where Kylie's fondness of the sky comes from. She's far from demanding child, unless you made a promise of some sort. She never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone wherever she is. Buy her a few things and voila, you're settled. No wonder she's attached to that man. The douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. I can't say if the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type, and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. Classic techniques.
But before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first. It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather. Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him and marry someone really handsome. Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. But before I can say my piece, douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtlety of a wrecking ball has. No shit given, despite no one asked for his opinion.
Munchkin, sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
I don't?
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
Tia married you.
Kylie drops the statement without any sort of preface, and the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true, Munchkin, technically, but it's not the same thing.
A small frown creases the girl's eyebrow as she tries to comprehend what Tio's rather vague explanation. It's not surprising either when Luke's tension under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. I've seen the same look a great deal of times before, on Ashton, whenever he's trying to say something he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either side of his shoulders. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe the man, but in this minute, there's a smile on his face I can't place. Tender by all means for someone as noxious as him. It's a curious thing to see, if not a bit odd.
Listen here, sweetie, Tia was already a great person before she met me.
She is? But I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Well, Tia's much, much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
Oh, like millions?
No, gazillions. And she's really, really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it. That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh, leagues, Munchkin. Way, way better than I'll ever be.
For some reason, I don't think he's still talking about his wife, mathematical prowess, as his voice trails off. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have noticed the change in him. The slight shift in his smile, from one of that's tender to something wistful, like remembering a memory he can always be fond of, but has often kept to himself. At the fleet glance of it, a tiny insignificant part of the world somehow is also shifted. Opinions changing, impression moving.
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia next time you have homework,
okay? Next time, I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. And Papa, he computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another silence from him. Then without missing a bet, he turns Kylie around and literally pats her shoulder, in a gesture to end their conversation right then and there. Probably before he can say other things he's never intended to say to a child, or not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
All right. But wait for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you. They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back.
She soon disappears behind a small crowd, none the wiser to the sudden change in mood around her. Luke strains as soon as she's gone. The expression on his face grows less kind. There's not one to reassure. Despite that, chuckle still escapes me. His head quickly snaps at me, an accusing glare clear in his eyes. Although it's less threatening now, considering what I've witnessed earlier. Funny how one person's impression of someone can easily change with a minute detail.
Why are you laughing like that?
Don't mind me. I just saw something surprising today. Don't let it bother you.
You know, putting it like that won't make me any less inclined to ask. What is it, woman? If this is another one of your threats, I've already told you it isn't going to work on me. That good teacher act isn't going to fool any—
What makes you think it has to do with you? I could have just remembered something funny. Not everything in this world revolves around you, mister.
I am not daft, Daisy. It's on your face for all the world to see. Now, say it so we can be done with this stupid talk.
I'll let out another laugh. More to delay than to express any sort of amusement over the matter. In truth, I don't know where to start. One wrong move, one wrong word, and I might have offended the man. He's childish enough for that, even if that's what I'm about to say, or just mere honest observation. You're good at handling her. You really think that? Oh, I'm not gonna make him happy. Fuck him.
You really think that?
I'm gonna bring him down as much as I can. It's an honest question. Because no matter how much I turn it around inside my head, the gap between the man standing in front of me and the idea I have of him just won't connect. Not that the gesture will go a long way with him. Something in his demeanor tells me that he's definitely not the kind of man who readily accepts such when they are given to him. Rather, he feels entitled to it from the get-go, so long as you're standing in front of him. He expects it to be there, demands for it when he cannot see it in you. And after those insults we've hurled at each other, I don't think it'll matter much to him if I point out the ugly truth or brandish it to his face. As expected, it doesn't throw him off at least. He merely raises the question eyebrow at me.
About what?
About what you told Kylie. And don't you think she's a bit too young for that kind of talk?
Kylie's 6, Daisy, not an infant who still needs help changing her nappy. At her age, she can already handle more than that. Besides, it's better to nip this whole thing at the bud. You know, before she starts thinking that a man's ego defines her self-worth.
Woo! Almost lost my phone.
I certainly don't need someone else to define me. Why should any godchild of mine do? So, do I really think that? Yes. Yes, very much so. Why shouldn't I?
All right, I get it. I'm sorry. You just didn't seem the type to me.
I've intended to end the conversation right there and simply go on my way. I no longer have any business here, and our deputy principal's story sounds more enticing the longer I stand here. With the manner Luke's almost ranting, I have a feeling this won't end if I say more. Though thinking about it, I should have left the second he has taken the box from me. Naturally, he doesn't get the hint.
The type. And what, pray tell, would my type be according to your standards, woman?
The sort I'd happily bury alive.
Well, would you look at what's coming out of those pretty little lips? Watch the language, Daisy. You're supposed to be teaching children. What would ever happen to this nation?
You know what I mean.
Oh, and you somehow find that tidbit funny.
A little, I admit. That sort of wisdom is the last thing I expected to come from you. I mean, look at yourself. Pampered and pompous to the last hair. You've probably never been to this side of Luxborn until a few days ago.
Daisy, just because I'm dressed miles better than the average bloke you see every day, doesn't mean I'm incapable of thinking on your level. Actually, I'm more surprised we aren't on the same page on this. I expected better from someone with enough balls to hit a random stranger with a bloody book. It's someone my goddaughter looks up to, even. Guess you can't have everything in this world,
Well, of course, I'm...
Oh, I get it. Running on presupposed notions, aren't we? My, what a dangerous thing to practice for a teacher.
It doesn't have anything to do with...
What is it this time, I wonder? Oh, wait, don't say it, let me guess. What do those random gossips in this bloody city usually say? Oh, right. You probably think I'd go with clingy, spoiled kind, didn't you?
What? Where does that... How did you even come to that conclusion?
Oh, don't lie to me now, Daisy. But just so we're clear, if I wanted an arm decor, I'd have gone with the first brainless munter I picked up on the streets. I have standards, you know.
I haven't even said a word. I was just asking what you thought of it.
Oh, but you were thinking about it or else you wouldn't have asked.
You are impossible.
So they say. Tell me something I didn't know, Daisy.
You... I really have no idea how anyone with half a brain can put up with you. Let me speak with your wife sometime. I'd love to ask her.
The last remark just came out. There might be a silver of the truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even for my own standard or kind of a person I'm talking to, it's still quite rude. An apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of whatever I prepare myself to say dissipates. Lost in the moment in front of me. He has turned gaze outside, staring at some point past the building blocks, the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air. Softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. I might as well look at a different man. There's a tender note in the voice when he finds it. The words mutter under his breath, not intended for anyone but him. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
Well, that's not what I expected. All that talk about self-worth makes some sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulled out of his arse. It has come about because he's already been there. Likely still stuck in the middle of it. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier, after all. Less room for mistakes. More of a dose of self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you thought you've already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge. Far harder than to understand. Yet, it might be exactly for this reason why some were so easily charmed by him. It's a mystery that catches them, of wanting to find out what's underneath that bravado. I won't count myself among those yet. His winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. But sometimes once you get a glimpse of what's beyond the mechanism, empathizing with what the man isn't such a steep hill to climb. If the comfortable silence we now share tells anything, that is. Perhaps that is as close to friends as we can get it. Several insults flung around, with a few shared silence in between, and there's not exactly backbiting. He's not exactly a bad guy either, despite the awkward start we've had. Maybe it's just this reason that I can't resist throwing a little comment in to lift the mood before he leaves.
You know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Way to feed his ego, bitch. Ah!
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
Take it how you will, but a little attitude change would help. A lot.
Oh, bollocks. Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No, but I did see her with you two last time.
His indifferent expression quickly dissolves in a confused scowl while I meet it in matching perplexity. It had only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe, after you left. She was sitting right beside you. Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book? Because that damn thing's quite big, and I'm really getting worried about you. It has only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke excels. Longer drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing in the companionable air around us. In the face of it, I tense. I've accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me, escapes me. But above my worries of offending the man is my own bewilderment. I remember well enough that I saw that night. Yet he says something completely different.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us. How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
But in the front seat. And Kylie's...
Miss Pink!
Kylie's sobs reach my ears first, and then her familiar weight returns around the waist again. It's like, is this like supposed to like, is this like only reason is for us to maybe think that he's a better guy? Is that solely the purpose for this entire thing of like this filler of an episode or whatever this is? Because it's not working. This dude is still a racist shithead. Like, I do not give a fuck about this guy, and I feel like this is just wasting my time. Hot tears seep through my blouse as she buries her face in it. Her arms winding tightly around me. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract much attention. Most of those visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now anyway. Those that still linger throughout watches our little group with great interest and concern. And if I don't get a better handle on the situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everything soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away tears, creating little trails on her cheek. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie. Calm down. What happened?
It's my friend!
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke. Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one?
Yeah.
Did the two of you fight?
She nods and immediately clams up after, letting her sob communicate the story instead, or as much as her shaking shoulders can tell me. Right behind me, Luke gives me a nervous huff. While he shifts on his feet, he must be used to handling children crying. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. The tears are already gone when she finally mutters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding to mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out.
Where? Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Is she still there?
Another nod.
She won't say what's wrong. I kept asking her, but she told me to go away. Career Day's going to start soon. I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us for good. She's gonna miss it.
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She and Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told him it's not for him. Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Ah, just a little childish argument then. Times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough to petty squabbles. I do love being around children and won't mind having one or two of them in the future, but it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who willingly look like to take the challenge. Normally I'll leave this for their homeroom, teachers to fix, but I can't just ignore the imploring look she shoots me. And another weakness I have to steel myself against before I ever think of having one of my own. For now, I give it into it.
Okay, tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand in the gesture and for her way to lead me. Luke trails quietly behind me. Even with the small distance in between, his apprehension is palpable, understandably so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a children's spat. But in the end, this is all part of my job. I can't just shy away from it, can I? Kylie escorts us to the adjacent hall. A locker? At this hour, the corridors of the room lining its side are empty. Save for the gentle rustling of the leaves, the twittering of the birds outside, and the tapping of our foots against the floor, the whole area stays eerily quiet. Not sure, though. Not unusually. This is the part of the building reserved for the club activities at the end of the school day, and the rest of the school busy with another event. It's only natural for it to be this deserted. Come afternoon, right after class, it'll be once again be filled with people. For the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end of the heading straight for it. Yes, she said bathroom, right? I say lockers. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of the drama instead. Obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right behind me, unusually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Sometime before we made the turn to his hallway, she has stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down.
Probably to brace to calm herself, or maybe that is her way of preparing to pull her friend out of a stall. It certainly reminds me of another person. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing, they say. Let her learn. The door slightly ajar when we got in. From the inside, the sobs of a girl's echo weakly, barely audible, even if it's a kind of hush. Turns out Kylie's not the only one upset about this. Despite the situation, a smile forms from my lips and a call out to her friend.
Hello? Hello there? You're Kylie's friend, aren't you? Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
Children can be so amusing sometimes. Granted, they can be exasperating, especially around this age. But the endearing things about them outweigh those. All you need is enough level of patience.
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it. Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave. Don't you want to receive one?
However, her cries show no sign of abating. They only grow louder. Not close to a wail. Alarming regardless.
Are you okay?
From where I'm standing, it sounds like almost like she's in some kind of pain. It's not impossible. They do that all the time, hiding the ails from their fear of reprimand. If it's like that, coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chose to leave the furthest from the classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture to Kylie to wait and amble towards the door, calmly so I don't alarm her. At the same time, a distinct sense of deja vu hits me. I've been in this position before, behind the door with someone crying on the other side. My calls ignored as their cries grow into a wail. Just this past week, actually. Even so, being in the same situation before doesn't bring any other comfort. I'm putting up for the child besides me. It's a thick undercut to worry trickling into my stomach. Take one last breath and then I nudge the door open. It all happens in a span of a second. I don't make it past 2 steps in the room. Her cries abruptly stop. Her light footsteps shuffle behind me, coming to a halt at the door. My heart skips a beat. And when I turn around...
Kylie?
So, Zachary wasn't seeing stuff. This shit is happening.
Miss Pink? Miss Pink? Why didn't you help her?
My whole body becomes motionless, and the sight of her, words catch my throat, and my heart pounding rapidly against my chest. This is Kylie, I'm sure of it. Yet nothing in the manner she speaks, or the way he tilts her head in question carries the infamous vibe she always brings with her. As if I'm merely looking at a dead, hollow imitation of the child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
But it's not those that trigger the memory. It's those chilling eyes. Calling, beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
All at once a memory returns to me. A tide that has receded and now returns to its shore with overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago. Of a world passing by its blurred features I can barely discern under the light of their little there was. Not even a week has passed. In this minute, while I keep my eyes trained on the child before me, they return with such unbearable clarity. There are no horrid wounds at this time, no blood streaming down a pale face, thank heavens. Just Lisk turning into a small twisted smile. They brim with venom I've never expected to even seek in a child, sending tiny pinprick of dread crawling up to my limbs and winding up my neck. You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die. Oh, why is it doing this? We're not saying the voices. I can't breathe. Those whispers and laughters again. Judging, mocking, taunting. Each scratching my word ringing sharp and true against my ear. My throat closes. My whole body tense. A chill settles at the tip of my fingers, every digit ragged and solid. With every single draw of breath and struggle of air to freedom, coils wrap around my body, tight and dragging me down. Gradually, torturous descent into another bottomless abyss. On. And on. And on. Until I lose touch with myself and the world.
Help me!
Until darkness claims me, and unexpectedly, a note. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through the thick support and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I don't have all morning to wait for you two.
My eyes snap open and the world shifts into place with a ragged gasp. When I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
No anger. No vile hatred in them. Just plain sincere concern. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings and myself as the warmth steadily slips back into me. I've reached out to the nearby counter to steadily grip myself at some point. My knuckles have gone white at how rigid my grip on it is. It's over now. Yet the tension hasn't left my body. My heart still hammers hard against the chest in an erratic rhythm, and my breath still comes in short, shallow bursts. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, utterly unsure of what to do as an adult, in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick? I'll call Tio, okay? Stay here and don't move.
No. No need. Just leave me alone.
Tio will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
I wish I can speak reassurance to her, but I can't shake it off. The dread in there, twisting my insides in anticipation. Of what? Am I no longer sure? Pushing myself to the counter, I break into a run. Brushing off anxious look Kylie gives me when I gently push her away on top of... Oops! Whether they both saw it in my face, I cared not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances every time a pin slips by my hand and the shoulder tenses whatever called. How unusual it must be for them to see normally composed Miss Gallus become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have seen my less grief today. Do you think being on the 4th cup of tea would provide some sort of comfort? Or is it the 5th? Ugh. Why did the counting even matter? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part, after having a 6th this week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Those are just stories. Century-old lores passed on locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my Dawes books ever even went as far as described them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who fed on unborn children straight from the mother's womb. Or hell, there's even the one story about the demon baby. All folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it. Most probably told to scare off natives there back in the old days. Much likely every other one in the other place. The world is more universal than people would care to think. But looking at it from where I stand now, after staring right into the eyes of the woman after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really much more than a bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
Terrible thing if true. Though that doesn't linger longer though, thankfully. Soon the ring of my mobile takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes me once the screen lights up and brown knit together. Marianne McCullough. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered the person in my contact list. It takes a moment, but when it clicks, my eyes zero in on the books lying wide open on the table. Loaned out from the library almost weeks ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence. A fellow history buff, apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end, she's given it to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it now, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Nor will I be done with the whole volume of this size in a few days after taking it out, but 1 or 2 depending on how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than anticipated. One moment, I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, and someone suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend stopped showing up with her flat right after worrying reports pop up in the local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip around things. I have been flipped through the pages of said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping of a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time I don't hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask someone who you've just met, but the answer's nonetheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised, 3rd generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want.
No.
Oh no!
Let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
Hindsight, I should have expected it'll lead to this. She must not have lived here long if she's asking about this now. It didn't take weeks with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella, superstitious down to the last hair. Though it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is... Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
It must have been of sunny weather, making me sick and seeing stupid things. See things.
No, wait! it's all right. I don't mind.
There's a moment of pause before she responds again. She's right in that this is a silly thing to talk about, especially between what I assume two people are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards of these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, all right. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her consciousness summary. From the time the house was commissioned for 100 years ago and who had built it. Up to the point it got deserted after her last heir's death, and the deed was passed on to the Ermengarde's mansion nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity a long time ago. Demolished, even. These are nothing but she probably hasn't heard before, yet dissatisfaction in her tone once I finished.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories. Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly drained from out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. Those whole letters bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know? By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
She ends the call abruptly with only a clip to goodbye, leaving my mind heavily even with more thoughts. The mood around the classroom has changed considerably denser, and a light would I've been gleaned from conversation. I don't think Mary Ann's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine, I'd give her that, but she's left a lot to think about. I get the sense she's only asking because something's happened around her too, and if she hadn't mentioned the letter, I probably would have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion to be formed with what we have, and if we want to find out what we're dealing with, I think Mary Ann's right. There might be something to do with these stories, and absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us the letters might tell us something beyond that we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of the chance at the housewarming party. Totally not exciting thought, since the place is privately owned now, I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep dread at bay as I step out of the room, ready to put an end to this day. However, all those good vibes disappeared in the air when I run head first into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people has with him without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth, his mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think standing in front of you?
An ass.
Oh, come on, Daisy. You've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hands. Partially raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns it to Kylie. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and toeing at something on the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then he proceeds to make a vague gesture at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for the air with the way he's moving his arms, though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Teal.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling his eyes at the ceiling and maybe praying for another universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been properly left out, he points to the roof finger at me. I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even left at his lips.
You, come with us.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, your face twists into something between the grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You think the man is getting an aneurysm, but simply being polite.
Please?
Tia said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise we'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal, and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that apartment. On a different front, the offer of a free dinner does sound enticing, however, heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second I find myself choosing to slip away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun. You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
What was this from my pocket? Cutting me mid-sentence for the third second. I'm spared from the act of giving an answer. I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave my hand and excuse myself. Disgruntled expression on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I didn't say it amused me. He's an eager to be done with. This is as I am. But what can I do? Checking a message from Ashton shows up. Hey Becca, I'll be around Salem this evening. Need to meet someone in that area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Just the usual. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to try to let others know he's dropping by if he's in the area or some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounded to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of the boundaries. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscratched. If he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do. So I left the gadget pick up in my pocket. When I look up and see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denial aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply what's going to wait, and he's expecting me to be there. But there are the matters I hope to discuss him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party, it matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and while Ashton, he's been the first choice from the start. Even if he dictates attending gathering like this. It complies that counts when we can be miserable together. Well, that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely he'll answer the flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice, but when you put it like that, still. I have other things to do. Okay, but only because Kylie asked. No, you have other things to do. Fuck this guy. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. Though when you look closely, it isn't such a difficult decision to make. First and foremost, no matter where I look at this, it is inappropriate to do to some degree. Just regarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. If I'm going to go through thorough specific, I'll give it a grand total of around 10 hours. By all means, that does not mean give me a reason to join them for a dinner, even if it says Kylie is the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be. And if there's an ugly thing about the city, it's the place prehance the name gossip. One little spark, it'll speed to like wildfire. Who knows how far it'll go. Whoa. What if Ashton hears about this? I'd rather not think about the consequences to that. I'd rather gotten enough on my plate lately as it is. Being at the center of rumor mill along with this man in whatever form it takes sends a pleasant chill down my spine. My answers must have already shown in my face as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves at my pout.
You're not gonna join us, are you?
I'm sorry, Kylie. I'd love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. The little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant. No need for blatant lies.
He instantly curls up my face at his baseless insinuations. Oh, what I would give for another chance to put a real dent in his school.
What even gave you that idea? And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
Ugh.
There isn't a look, There isn't a look, all right?
Oh my god, I just want to get to Ash.
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Good girl.
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
With extra strawberries?
I'll get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal. Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss the chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Does he really think women enjoys this? I'd sue him for harassment if I could. Though I must admit, the two of them walking together hand in hand is an endearing sight of itself. It's something to mull over, along with other confusing and frustrating things about this guy. My dogs are ready for this episode to be over too. Some other time though. Ashton's waiting. Woo! His car's headlights have been left turned on, illuminating the otherwise empty parking lot. If it's like that, that is probably going to be a quick visit. Although our landlady would probably have a few hundred words to say about this before letting go. Not many to complex own visit anyway, to warrant a space frequently used, owing this to the area's proximity downtown Locusport. No one's going to be disturbed if one car stays parked with its lights on for a few minutes. Right now though, it serves as a pleasant company while I idle inside my car, thumbling the invitation fine prints, flipping it over and over until the motions become familiar enough. What should I say? How should I say it? There's a very high chance he'll say no, but on the off chance he accepts, what should I do? Oh, that's right! Fears, doubts, questions I haven't asked before, and the more often than not, the anxiety is because of him. 17 years ago, I've been in the same position, a different letter in hand. Somehow, nothing has changed. Perhaps if he'd noticed how I've always felt with him years ago, I would have been in this predicament. Honestly, he managed to ace all those exams at school even without even lifting a finger. And he couldn't figure this out.
How dense can he get?
but I can't very well wait for another 2 decades for just something as measly as an invitation, can I? It's not like I'm going to be a date. Although, frankly, I wouldn't mind if it is. However, that's a wish best reserved for some other time. I won't get anywhere if I just keep thinking about this what-ifs. Gathering all of my thoughts and courage, I step out of the car. Make my way upstairs, invitation in my hand. Ever since the incident 3 days ago, there's a strange air permeating the atmosphere here. Waited, but the sort of slow trickles through you, until the burden of it finally bogs you down with some other kind of disquint. The day since has been uneasy, and Isabella's absence from her flat does not help settle it. Every day coming home somewhat feels like an uphill battle in itself, leaving you spent what you're supposed to get some rest. Is Zachary experiencing the same thing I certainly am? The same weary slump is on Ashton's shoulders once I catch a glimpse of him. He's leaning casually against the rails, his back against the metal surface, while reading through a bunch of papers. Each one more important than the other, despite having never read a letter of it. He'll probably be headed back to Precinct after this, if he's not going to drop by Zachary for a bit of shut-eye. No rest for the wicked. No matter how occupied he seems, he pauses anyway and looks up from his work the moment he hears my treads. He raises his hand and a great smile spreads across his lips. Exhausted as I am, I can't help but return to him.
What brought you here?
He hums something inaudible, neither an answer nor a vague hint, before he turns his attention back to the papers. For a passing second, I thought he'd ignore or evade the question, like every single time I've asked. The time he shuffled the documents back into the binder, he sets it aside with a huff. It sounds more fatigued than I've heard from him recently. Either there's simply too many things keeping him busy at once, or investigation isn't going too well. Maybe even both.
Just work.
Just work? Do you expect me to believe that?
In a way. I didn't think an important contact ditched me and now I'm stuck would make for a cool alibi. Did it work?
As if there's going to be any difference. You're still a dafty. Anyway, do you want to come in? But if you're going to hang around for a bit, you better turn those headlights off. My landlady's one hairline away from banning you off this place, you know? Stop taking the piss out of her. She's a nice woman.
When she stops taking the piss out of Shirley, maybe I will.
You and your bloody car.
The first time I've heard the name, I did a double take. From the way he put it, it was as if he was talking about some woman he met somewhere surprisingly got along with and grown fond of. Never mind how impossible that is, knowing his lack of interest for people outside a small circle. Honestly, I sent a surge of panic in me. It's lasted for days. Until he proudly introduced me to his new car. His car.
Hey, it's a nice name. Don't laugh at it. You'll hurt her feelings. I'm gonna have to give that offer a pass, though.
Nothing unexpected, but admittedly, I'm hoping he'll stay for a few minutes. Suddenly asked me to accompany me in some housewarming party is starting to turn up into a bad idea. If he can't even be bothered to spare a second of his time to his friends, what more has he stand hours in a full of strangers?
I need to get going. I just dropped in to check on something and...
His words trail off mid-sentence on purpose, leaving it for me to comprehend the rest of it. At the same time, his eyes shift momentarily towards the door closet for us, Isabella's unit. Eerily quiet now in her absence. Instant, his lips curve into a small frown as he shudders tense. I know work is far from his reason for being here. Being all too aware of the idea alone summons another dull ache into my chest. Like every time, every single moment, he affords her the attention he can never seem to spare to others. While it is worry better left for a different situation, it twinges the heart nevertheless.
Is there a problem?
Nothing of note. Abigail just wanted to ask her a few things. It's related to that incident with Cooper. You heard the one.
Hold on. She isn't in trouble, is she?
No, I don't think so. Not as far as I know. And do you really think Scaredy Cat can do anything like that? It's just an off-the-record thing, okay? Abigail wanted to confirm something. She knows I'm friends with someone working at BRC, so she asked me. Apparently she isn't getting anything from that company, as long as the red tape's in the way.
It's nothing urgent, though. She isn't answering her phone again, so I thought I'd check myself. I can wait until she gets home.
If she comes home soon. The last time I saw her was 2 nights ago.
His demeanor immediately changes. Despite his careful attempt to appear nonchalant, his eyes scream to unspoken worry. It's almost painful to see how much he tries to hide it, especially if in front of someone he hasn't known for years.
What? Did she take a vacation or something?
No word from her, unfortunately. And I don't think she'll go on a trip without telling us. It's been 2 days. 3 if she's not going to show up tomorrow either. Do you think we might have to file a missing person report?
I hope not. Even Zach's not acting like himself already. I wonder what that guy ate. But let me know if anything happens. You know how to contact me. I'll see you later, Becca.
Ashton squeezes my shoulder, light as he can, before stepping away and heading straight for the stairs. His way of offering comfort in the middle of his less mess we found ourselves in. But amidst all of this, a tiny voice in the back of my head nudges at a memory. Sometimes I've forgotten the very reason why I've chosen to return home early. He's made it 4 steps down when the realization kicks in, new awareness, and the envelope I've been holding returns to me. Panic rears before my proper words can form, or I can think about the situation. Not a second sooner, I'm calling after him.
Ashton, wait!
He halts, 1 foot already down on another step. When he turns to me, raises an eyebrow question.
Yeah?
And of all times it is, in this moment when I falter, the adrenaline from earlier panic suddenly recedes. All of a sudden, none of the things I've prepared to say will take form. And I'm caught between simply forgetting about this whole blurting it out and while I'm hoping for the best. Should I even... Low-key, I want Isabella and Ash to get together. But he's gonna show up to the party no matter what. Okay, let's stop ragging on Rebecca so much. There's nothing wrong with trying, I suppose. I'm not gonna lose anything if he says no. Which frankly has a very high chance at happening at the opposite. Through thought still doesn't prevent heat from crawling up the face and send my heart racing. It's better to get this over with before my throat closes up and I lose my nerve.
Tomorrow afternoon. Do you have time?
Small frown is already on his face. I already see this is going where he thinks it's going from that alone. If for some bullish reason I continue, hanging on to that glimmer of hope, he'll say yes if I present an argument good enough for him.
That depends. Why?
Well, you see, someone sent an invite for a housewarming party, and I thought you might want to...
Rebecca, I'd rather stand on the messy end of a gunshot. You know that.
I know, it's just... You're one of the few people I can count on with things like this.
That's cool. I appreciate the thought. But really, Zach's a better companion. Gatherings like that just aren't my cup of tea.
It did cross my mind, you know. If he isn't busy with his freelance work, I'd probably ask him too. Actually, you two would have been spared if Isabella was here, but...
Why not just skip out on it? The world's not going to end if one guest doesn't show up.
Trust me, I'd love to. But I promised Mom I'll be there.
Still can't say no, huh?
Like you're any better. Besides, the person who sent this is an old friend of Mom and Dad. If it's important to them, why not? Though, who would have thought, huh? The famous Evans heir used to be tutored by my parents. Apparently, we also met before.
Wait, who?
Evans. Hannah Evans. Well, she's already married. She goes by Hannah Wright now. Remember the couple who bought the mansion Isabella's selling?
The same people?
As far as I know. Unless I misread their address, or there's another Hannah Wright in this city that we don't know about.
Let me see that.
Without waiting, he walks closer and takes the invitation off my hands. Gently, but with the same force of urgency in his voice. I don't know what he finds in it, but his eyebrows draw together as his eyes scan through little lines of text printed on the small piece of paper. His holds on the envelope tighten with each pass, and by the time he is finished reading, his mouth is formed in a thin line.
You never mentioned this.
We met just once. Or at least, that's what Mum told me. Honestly, I can't recall anything from it. Otherwise, I would have told you about it.
He hums something inaudible under his breath. After a while, thumbing the paper, staring as if he so proffer him answers unspoken question in his head. When he gleans nothing from it, he merely folds the envelope back to its form.
All right. I'll go with you.
What?
See, I knew it wasn't going to be because he wants to go with her. It's because it's the rights.
I'll go with you. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Unless you've already made up your mind about asking Z-Man.
No, I told you already the guy's busy. Why would I bother him for this when I can go alone? But what about your own work and...
I can make time for this. 3 o'clock, yeah? I'll pick you up an hour or so before.
My head reels less from the implies, or how easy all this seems for him, how fast his turnaround is. He's already halfway down the stairs with the sensible sense returned to me, and I can finally string 2 words to protest together. Yet all of it dies on my tongue at the small smile he shoots me. He disappears from the view seconds later. His footsteps gradually fading as he descends to the stairwell until all I can hear is my own shallow breaths and heartbeat, loud, pounding hard against my chest. It's only after I'm standing alone in my room minutes later that it sinks in. He has taken the invitation with me, but besides that, more than that, he's also accepted mine. Calling this happiness is a complete understatement. For now, looming thoughts of the mansion that the woman lay silent in at the back of my head. Damn right, Wade. Alright guys, we're gonna end it here. Looks like we're gonna finally get to see what some of the things that happened at the ball that night, besides just from the Wright's point of view. So we're gonna see probably Ash honestly feel, betrayal. Not him feel betrayal, but betrayal towards Rebecca because she's gonna realize he's there for work, not for her. And I'm sure it's gonna hurt her. We're also gonna see her though try to explore the mansion as far as I know and see if she can find some stuff. So stay tuned and we'll see what happens. I really think things are going to start picking up now. I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. Bye!